Some coworkers drain your energy the second they walk into the room. Today, you'll learn the science behind emotional contagion, why certain people hijack your nervous system, and the practical tools that help you stay grounded and productive without getting pulled into their chaos. So stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to the podcast, Workplace Therapy, with me, Dr. Abby Metcalf. And this is yet another request from a listener. You can always write into me at abby@abbymetcalf.com. You can leave a message through the Let's Connect page on the website. You can leave a message underneath the video on YouTube, any of those places, and I'll get it. So if you have a suggestion we're going to be wrapping up season 2 right now. I think I have one more episode in this season, and then we'll be going to season 3. So I'd love to hear your ideas of what you'd like me to cover. Excuse me. So every workplace has at least one person who feels like an emotional vacuum. I've worked in hundreds of places in my life, and I will tell you that's always true. They come in hot or heavy or chaotic or negative. They talk to you instead of, at you instead of with you. They bring urgency, drama, helplessness, all kinds of stuff. And even if you didn't start the day stressed, you're suddenly exhausted, irritated, thrown off center after interacting with them, even in a small way. But why? Why does this person end up with so much power over your mood and energy? These coworkers, they drain us. They drain your energy, and it's because your nervous system is constantly tracking other people for signs of danger, signs of tension, instability, all that stuff. So, again, we humans co-regulate. I did an episode on the Relationships Made Easy podcast about co-regulation, so you can go check that out if you want to learn more. But basically, because humans co-regulate, your brain adjusts to the emotional state of the person in front of you, really whether you want it to or not. There's a lot of research that shows that emotional contagion happens automatically and unconsciously. So, and that strong negative emotions really they hijack your brain's attention system. So in other words, their nervous system gets inside yours. That's the problem. And whenever I talk about the research or another episode or anything, I will link to all those below the video if you're watching on YouTube, or on my website, abbymetcalf.com, where you can go to this episode. So for future. And I have a really good download for today, free download for today, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So, and draining people aren't just negative. They're dysregulated. They're overwhelmed. They're anxious, they're dramatic, they're chronically stressed, or really chronically underfunctioning. They're trying to get relief through you. That's why it feels like something is being pulled from you, because it literally is. So there's 5 main reasons why some coworkers drain you. And it's really not about personality. It's about nervous system. Let me have a sip of water. It's about nervous system patterns, I should say. It's about relational dynamics. Okay, so number 1, why do they do this? They're emotionally dysregulated. People who come in with, intensity, urgency, or volatility, they activate your threat system. Your body shifts into vigilance mode, which spikes stress hormones and drains your energy. Reason number 2, they externalize their stress. So instead of calming themselves, they offload their anxiety, their frustration, their overwhelm onto you or other people. So you become their emotional regulator. That's the second reason they drain you. Number 3 is they dominate the conversational space. They monologue, they overshare, they unload without noticing the impact. You ever see that in a meeting? Someone's doing that thing and you watch everyone zone out and it's like they don't even get it. This drains cognitive resources because your brain is processing emotion, not content, which happens all the time. That's why things that pull at us emotionally are more draining than things that pull at us intellectually. Reason number 4, they're chronically negative. Negativity isn't the issue. Chronic negativity is. I want to say that. There's a lot of research on this, and it shows that repeated exposure to negative emotional cues lowers mood, lowers attention, lowers resilience. That's why you're exhausted. And reason number five is they collapse instead of solve, right? They don't problem solve. Some people default to helplessness or learned incompetence. They're, oh, I don't know how to do this. Suddenly becomes your responsibility, and that drains mental bandwidth very quickly. Your exhaustion, I really want to say this, isn't imaginary. It's physiological. So besides the emotional contagion, by the way, there's also attentional hijacking. We know that emotionally intense people pull your attention away from your own priorities. And that interruption creates this real cognitive fatigue. Again, our exhaustion. So every time someone ignores your limits, interrupts your focus, dumps emotional weight onto you, your internal boundaries are really taking a hit. And those micro ruptures, they really add up. So, and I know you don't want to be rude, you don't want to escalate, and you don't want to seem cold. So the mental gymnastics that you go through really drain your energy as much as the interaction itself, right? All right, so what can you do? Here are 5 ways to protect your energy with these kind of people. Number 1 is to regulate before you engage. If someone's energy spikes your system, you've got to ground yourself first. So, and I've done a ton on this, but you can try just longer exhales, doing the famous double inhale with a long, slow exhale, slowing your speech, relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your jaw. When you regulate, they often regulate automatically. Again, because co-regulation works both ways. Remember, you're calibrating to them. What if you had them calibrate to you? I know. Number 2 is don't match their emotional intensity. Matching their pace, their tone, their urgency, it's going to lock you into their state. And that's really important. So I say things like, and I tell my clients to say things like, hey, let's slow this down so I can actually hear what you're saying. Or let's take this one piece or one step at a time. You should be controlling the rhythm of the interaction, right? You should be controlling the rhythm of the interaction, not them. My 3rd tip is to redirect without rescuing. Draining coworkers often want you to solve their emotional or logistical problems. So, and you shouldn't. You don't want to do that. So I, again, put it back to them. What's saying something like, what's one step you can take next, right? Pushing it back on them. Who's the right person for you to talk to about this is another one of my favorites. I've done that so many times. I've said that. Like, hey, I'm not the right person to talk about. Who's the right person? I don't even say I'm not the right person. Sorry. I usually just say, so who's the right person you should talk to about this? Because it's implicit when I say it that I'm not it. So you end up like giving direction without absorbing responsibility. That's really the magic sauce here. My 4th tip is to set time boundaries. Open-ended conversations are the fastest way to lose energy. So use some clear timeframes like, hey, I have 5 minutes right now, or I can talk until 2:40. Then I need to get back to this project. At 2:30, you can say, okay, I can give you 10 minutes. I can talk till 2:40. I even have someone I worked with, I don't work with her anymore, but she had a little timer she kept on her desk, a little kitchen timer, and she would set it. She'd go, here you go, 10 minutes, go. And it became, people would get upset and kind of push back. And she didn't care. I told her, I said, just keep doing it. And sure enough, you know what would happen? Number 1, people would actually get it done in the time because the timer would go off. She's like, okay. And she'd literally turn her chair back around towards her desk. Or they stopped asking her because they realized she wasn't the place they could come to dump. So you're defining the container so the interaction doesn't consume your day. You are allowed to do that. All right. Number 5 is to definitely strengthen your internal boundary. Some coworkers drain you because you've unconsciously been their emotional support person, their emotional sponge. So you want to strengthen your internal message. This isn't mine to carry. I can stay steady even if they're not. I don't have to fix their problem or their experience, right? You want to say these kinds of things to yourself. Your internal boundaries will 100% change the external interactions. I guarantee you. So I'm going to wrap up by saying that a draining coworker, they're not draining because you're overly sensitive. That's what people come to me with, and it makes me crazy. You're not overly sensitive. They're draining because your nervous system is doing exactly what it was built to do. It's built to track other people's emotional states and to respond. So, when you understand the psychology and the physiology behind the dynamic, hopefully you're going to stop personalizing it, which is why we're having this conversation. You stop absorbing it and you start responding to them from clarity instead of exhaustion. You don't have to change them. You just have to stop letting their emotional world run yours. And in the end, it is your responsibility. I'm going to say this. It is your responsibility to set appropriate boundaries and protect your energy, right? I wrote a whole book about it. I got a workbook about it. But you don't have to buy anything, because in my putting today's lesson into action today, I've got an awesome free download to help you really integrate everything I taught today. So I'm calling it, I love coming up with my names for these things. I'm calling it the Energy Shield, your guide for handling draining coworkers, because that's really what you're doing. So in it, I have a quick assessment to identify what type of drainer they are, because people come with different ways they drain you. I gave you, I think it's 3 or 5 phrases that protect your time and regulate the moment. I gave you a 2-minute reset ritual for before and after tough interactions, and a boundary template for redirecting that emotional dumping. So, I just took everything I taught you and I kind of put it into action in here. And there you have it. I hope this answered a lot of your questions. And, again, comment under the video, let me know, or wherever, if you need more on this or less on this, or you want something, a different topic entirely for next season. All right. Have an amazing day, and I will talk to you real soon.